DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. It is Thursday. We are looking at the 6-game main slate over on DraftKings, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, running through the 10 p.m. Eastern out. We appreciate you guys all tuning in with us here today. We did have the preview show out this morning. We had injury news come out throughout the day. Grande did your playbook. That is live over on Fantasy Alarm for all of you to digest and prepare for tonight's roster lock, 7 p.m. Chicago, Orlando.
Not Charlotte. Not Charlotte.
Charlotte, not Charlotte. No, shush. The shush. Yeah, I got shushed. CH. Yeah. I got CH. Chicago, Orlando, 7 p.m. Big news of the day is in Boston and Philadelphia, though. Boston.
They're canceling the game.
Canceling it. Right?
They're hopefully they're just canceling it.
Boston ruled out Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Al Horford. Questionable tags for Jason Tatum. Questionable tag for Sam Hauser. Do you have a questionable tag for somebody else too?
Hauser and Tatum are questionable. Everyone else is out.
So we'll see what happens here. Philly said, "Okay, Paul George isn't playing then. They're sitting him. No Paul George here tonight. No Maxey, obviously already either. So big news on that front. We have a game with 240 plus total on the board today. Indy, Atlanta, a game that you and I gamed stacked on the preview show. Obviously Boston value opening up here, probably going to make it easier to stack that game even more. Ownership's kind of crazy. We got a couple of guys. We got one guy over 50%. We got a bunch of Celtics up over 30%. So we'll talk about it. We'll break it down. We appreciate, again, you guys popping in here with us. Coach Chris saying, yo. Our guy Justin IC3 saying good luck. Cujo saying hello. Marcus saying let's get it. Dave, I don't know. Is this a W or is this like a shrug? I don't know.
Looks like a shrug. Looks like the MJ shrug to me.
MJ shrug, and then we got Stacks saying what's up. We got Dave with the demolition icon avatar there. Little WWE Hall of Fame tag team there. So, anyways,
is that Ramus? Who's that?
No, demolition, dude.
I don't know. I was like next. I feel like I was like next generation of.
They were like 80s.
Yeah, no.
They do, however, have the best WWE tag team titles. I can't really. If I had to pick a tag team title, I think those were the best era of tag team title there.
Not the Dudley Brothers.
Well, those are the best tag teams. I'm talking about the physical title belts.
Oh, okay.
That they had there for the tag team titles. I like those way better than the tag team titles they use now. Anyways, that's a conversation for a different show. Clem saying let's cash. Justin saying here saying family. So we'll talk about it. Samson says we're the best. You are the best. So James and I are here for you guys, dude. If you guys didn't show up, we wouldn't do it. We would just straight up just not be here. I'd take the hour. We'd go do something else. But you guys show up, so we show up for you.
We wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. We'd be sitting right here, just kidding. We'd be still breaking it down. We'd just be doing it for just like people in Discord and
Hawk and Amel Road Warriors. Yeah, exactly. Matt likes going game by game. Matt, we've done this before. We actually did what you said. Put a poll up.
We did.
And we did. And position by position won.
Multiple times.
Because Grande actually, believe it or not, likes going game by game.
I prefer game by game.
We go position by position because that is what the public has voted on.
Yep.
And we've been doing it now for like 10 years this way. So, and like James says, we've thrown out the poll multiple times throughout the year. Position by position always wins, Matt. I don't know.
Every time.
Every time position by position wins. So start a campaign. Start a ground roots push to get game by game, and we'll go. I don't know. It's the way it is, man.
Get 500. Get 500 signatures on the petition.
Yeah, just go on Twitter. Stuff the ballot boxes. I don't know, and get it. Last vote date, probably last year, maybe a year before that.
How about I'll put it up on my Twitter literally like tomorrow.
So anyways, we do appreciate you guys all in there. How about do you feel about Kelly Oubre, Jose? Or Josie, maybe Josie, Jose, I don't know. We'll talk about it. All right. Top overall plays, price up wise: Luka, LeBron, Tatum, all up over $10,000. I guess the decision is like whether or not you want to play Luka or LeBron if you're doing the late night hammer tonight, because they've obviously both been elite. Luka's shown a really good ceiling. LeBron has showed an equally as high ceiling. This Knicks matchup, we know how poor the Knicks are defensively. Luka at 11-2, but then you got Trey at $9,800 in that high game total game. You have Steph playing out of his mind right now at 93. You had Brunson, and then you have Halliburton in the other end of that Atlanta game. And Halliburton's playing some of his basketball all season long. So talk to me, man. You did the playbook. Where's the point guard position going today?
Yeah, nobody is playing that late game. Not a single player is highly rostered.
Yeah.
One, I think that has a lot to do with the value.
Sure.
You and I built last night with Luka, and looking back at that lineup, it kind of stinks.
Well, hindsight.
Yeah, no, well, I'm just saying, like, hindsight, of course, but I'm just saying, like, that's where we were with value. I'm not saying that we stink. I'm saying
we don't have to play Jared Vanderbilt anymore.
Yes, but like that is the point. Like, obviously things have opened up since then, and like if you know,
which is why we do this show, right? It's why we don't just do the preview show. We do this show right here, so we can update ourselves.
Because that's what the NBA is, right? Like it is. We get a first look, and then that second show is like to nail it. So if you want to play Luka, you'll get him at really low ownership. And I don't think that changes unless we get, another like pretty big wave of news. Like if Boston rules out Tatum, then I can see a scenario where Luka's ownership spikes, because then we just have the infinite value stone.
Yeah.
The Boston, and it's the Celtics. And then if like Justin Edwards gets ruled out for Philly, which I think is a big piece of news, then the chalky Philly ownership that is now, that we'll talk about, I think is more viable than it actually maybe is surface level right now, because there's a lot of ownership going to Philly, and I'm not totally sure on it quite yet. So I think Luka's a great tournament play if you're comfortable playing some of these like fringe value plays.
Yeah, I agree. And something 2 hours right after the second to last game goes, you could have a 70 burger, 70 steak. Is that what we used to call it?
Yeah.
Just kind of waiting for you to come through down the pipeline at low ownership. So again, you got Luka there. Josh Giddey's officially in for today. Patrick Williams is out. They ruled out Lonzo Ball and Vucevic earlier today out. Horder active for Chicago tonight. So you got that news coming through here for the Bulls. But all right, you moving off Luka, 247.5 game total, Trae Young or Halliburton. You're getting a $1,000 discount on Halliburton here, assuming he plays today. Currently considered questionable, but where are you looking to go there?
I'm good with both. I have no like objection to either. Trae is getting the ownership, so if you want to just simply pivot to Halliburton, you can. I think Trae's matchup is a little easier. Not to say Nembhard / Nesmith aren't great defenders, because they both are great defenders.
Yeah.
But Dyson Daniels gets in your ish, and you already know that that's what is waiting for Halliburton. Nobody cares about the price, because again, Trae is 2x the ownership that Halliburton is right now. So I like both. I don't have like a lean either way. What I'd say is they're both involved in a game that has almost 250 applied points.
Yeah.
That's what my comment would be. If you need to save money, play Halliburton. If you have the money, play Trae Young, because they're both in the same boat. If they make shots, their peripheral stats are good enough to where they're going to have a ceiling, right? Yeah. Halliburton's the more efficient shooter. Trae Young's the less efficient shooter that probably more consistently has higher volume. So do you value the volume of Trae, or do you value the efficiency of Halliburton and the cheaper price? I don't think you can go wrong with either, because they both have massive ceilings.
Yeah, the one thing that obviously Halliburton's also carrying too is the defensive stats lately. I mean, three steals. Like, you don't get defensive numbers.
Yeah, but that's hard to. I would say that's hard to like say that he's gonna. Not to say he hasn't had steals.
I mean, he's averaging
this
1.5
year.
steals per game on the year, right? So like he is doing better defense.
I mean, Trey's right there.
Yeah,
you know, Trey's right there. So
Sure.
and that 1.5 is blatantly elevated by this stretch, right? Like,
yeah, a little bit for sure.
well, I mean, he's had 3, 4, 3, 3, 3. Like, at some point, I bet you we can look back and Trey has something similar to that. So
Dave's just saying stack them. I agree. We're arguing, here.
I agree.
You could play them both. Honestly,
yeah, I agree.
Just be fine with it. And that just leaves Curry and Brunson sort of as pivots offs. If you want to get to either of them instead, certainly can. Where are we with Giddey here? He's obviously been insane. They continue to rule guys out, which means he's going to get all the minutes. He's going to be a guy that fills the stat sheet. It is a very slow-paced game, but Orlando's guard defense hasn't been great without Suggs. So, $8,500. Like, does Giddey become someone worthy of throwing in the player pool tonight?
Is in the player pool for sure. When you're just talking about guys who can score just fantasy points, no matter what the matchup is, Josh Giddey's at like the top of the list of the slate.
Yeah.
No Vooch, no Levine this year, just taking their two best, like the Bulls' previously best players from a fantasy perspective. Josh Giddey's a 1.4 fantasy point per minute player. Orlando, over the last 15 games, they're 9th in defense. They're 2nd on the year. So, like, there is a slip there. There's still a very good defense, and you're completely right. It is still a very slow-paced environment. But, like, if you're going to play somebody in a slow-paced game, play somebody who can triple-double, right? Who will grab rebounds, will dish out assists, will score. So, I think Giddey is someone that you can play in tournaments.
Sure. Next tier down again, Boston is where we're obviously going to be looking to target. It feels it's silly to say, like, are we chasing Derek White and Peyton Pritchard going for 40 actual last night?
No.
We're not. You're not chasing it, or you're not playing it?
We're not chasing. It's not chasing in any shape or form.
Right. Now, we don't expect them to score 40, but they're both still in elite spots with everybody who's out of the lineup, and it gets even better if Jason Tatum ends up also being ruled out here. So, Pritchard is the clear play. We said this on the show last night once everybody got ruled out, like, play Peyton Pritchard. We obviously did not expect 10 threes and 43 actual, right? But he has given us multiple 20-plus fantasy point games and 30 and 40-plus or 20-plus actual point games and 30, 40 fantasy point games. I would expect something in that realm again tonight, like 35 to 40 fantasy points if he's the lone dog here going up against Philly.
I wrote that exact thing about Derek White in the playbook.
Did you?
I wrote, like, basically verbatim. I was like, you just can't expect 41 actual points, but you can play him. He's good play.
Yeah.
He's a great play. Can't expect 41 actual. Like, you're not going into this being like, oh, man, Derek White going to score 41 or Peyton Pritchard going to score 43. No. But I think they're extremely viable at their respective price tags. I'm going to say this, though, like, truthfully, to Derek White, and I'm not saying I'm not going to play him, like, this price is up there. We'll see. If there's Tatum, we'll see. If Tatum's available, we'll see. I feel way better about Pritchard's price than I do White's.
Yeah, agreed. And we've seen Pritchard do this like all season long when guys are out of the lineup, and the price is, like you said, more comparable there. Josh, with the question probably of the day, if Tatum gets ruled out, how many Celtics are too many Celtics?
The limit does not exist. I would say you could legitimately talk yourself into 5. I don't think you will, but I do think that is on the table in the range of outcome for winning lineup.
Yeah, I agree. let's see, working our way down here. What's like the next value play, or what's the next guard that you kind of have interest in once you get past the Celtics? Because again, Pritchard feels like just an automatic plug, regardless of what happens. It only gets better if Tatum gets out. But do you look at Philly with Quentin Grimes? Do you look at any of the Pelican plays or Daniels here? Are there pivot off of this spot that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I think Philly looks great, and Boston's watered down because all their guys are out. And so they started Quentin Grimes at point guard last game. I expect that to happen again. I guess we'll see with PG being ruled out, and we'll wait and see with Edwards. But if Edwards is in, you're going to see Quentin Grimes start at the point guard position. He was great again. He's been really good playing monster minutes. So yes, Grimes is the guy in this tier. There's nothing else that really stands out other than talking about Jared Butler.
Sure.
Jared Butler was the backup point guard the other day. They played Jeff Doughton 5 minutes, and they played Jared Butler basically the entire second quarter. Now, that was attached to some Andre Drummond foul trouble, and they just played Yabusele at the 5. So, that is worth noting, but that game also featured Paul George. So if they go more traditional with a point guard, Butler has seemingly leapfrogged Doughton after Doughton leapfrogged Butler, right?
Which really means that we have no idea what's going to happen.
We have no idea. So what I would say is the Justin Edwards news matters, because I think you see the starting lineup of Grimes, Oubre, Yabusele, Drummond, Edwards, if Edwards plays. And if you don't, it's those 4 plus probably one of Lonnie Walker or Jared Butler. That would probably be my guess. Where then you're playing Grimes off the ball if it's Butler, and you're playing Grimes on the ball if it's Lonnie Walker. So that stuff, that matters quite a bit tonight, the Justin Edwards piece, because 2 games ago they started Justin Edwards and played him 37 minutes. So it's not like that piece is irrelevant. So I think Jared Butler has a role, but what is that role if Edwards is starting and he's not? He played the final 15 minutes of the game. They didn't play Paul George in the fourth quarter of that game. They played Andre Drummond 2 minutes of that fourth quarter. Those 25 minutes are a little fluky for Jared Butler, but we'll see. I think Butler is good value because he's obviously, we talk about this all the time, he's a very good fantasy player.
Cole Anthony just ruled in. He's missed a couple of games here. Obviously not a good defender, but we know what he can be offensively. Any interest in Cole Anthony tonight?
He was really popular earlier in the day. I mean, I'd be silly not to at least give him a shout because the matchup is great. But Josh, I would not play Corey Joseph with Cole Anthony back.
And then Garfield, we always take questions, my dude. If you got questions, throw them in the chat. We'll put them on the screen and we'll answer them for you. All right, shooting guard. Murphy's $8,000. Austin Reeves is $7,400. Jalen Green, 73. You can play Kobe White, Derek White in this range. Now, we did have the Kelly Oubre question earlier, so thoughts here at shooting guard.
Yeah, not a lot of interest in the first couple names. Jalen Green is someone I would get to in tournaments. Really good matchup. Pelicans 29th in defense. Jalen Green, highest usage rate on the team, no Van Vliet, over a fantasy point per minute. So I'd get there. I like both the Whites, Kobe and Derek. I think both stand out. Derek White will obviously be the chalky play of the two. Kobe White is a very fine pivot in tournaments. He's only $100 more than Derek White. He has a tougher matchup, so not a lot of people are going to go there. But Chicago's obviously shorthanded. No Lonzo, no Vooch, no Dosunmu, no Patrick Williams. You're getting probably the best version of Kobe White that you've gotten all year long, at least in terms of consistent fantasy production.
Yeah.
And he's now shooting guard, small forward eligible. So I like Kobe White as a direct pivot off Derek White in tournaments. Love Kelly Oubre. Dude, he played 40 minutes in that last game and didn't play the final 4 minutes of the game. I mean, he would have sat for 4 minutes. He would have sat for 4 minutes totally. So
if Tatum sits in this game, I mean, defensively, the Celtics take a monster step back. I mean, they were already taking a little bit of a step back, but like the wing defense just plummets, right? Like
they're. I mean, this game, like Philly is not projected a lot of points, and I do understand it, but it could greatly outperform the number based on who teams are missing. I mean, Boston's missing their 2 starting bigs. They're a very good +2+ defenders on the wing as well. Like they're missing 4 of their top 6. They're not good defensively as they were. So the minutes for Oubre are just too good to pass on. The clear correlation to Oubre's rebounds dropping are Andre Drummond entering. You know, remember we had talked about it earlier in the year when Embiid was out, Oubre was grabbing all those rebounds because they weren't playing Drummond and Drummond was out. Well, Drummond's back and grabbing all the rebounds. So do have to factor that in, but Oubre's been so good offensively that it hasn't really mattered. And the minutes have been great too.
I wouldn't be off Boston. I would play Peyton Pritchard tonight. I at that price point, I don't see a reason to not play Pritchard. Obviously if Tatum plays, like Tatum's in a great spot here as well with everybody that's out of the lineup, but I would definitely still play Peyton Pritchard tonight. Anthony says Sixers are cooked. Possibly, but I mean, if Tatum sits, you're looking at White and Pritchard and Hauser and Jordan Walsh and Luke Cornett as your lineup there. And then Oubre or Drummond versus Young Capella. I don't think we can do Capella, right? Like,
I mean, you could make a case for it in tournaments, but he's gonna obviously draw the short end of the stick.
Yeah, he's just drawing the short end of the minutes there, and I mean, I'd rather the Oubre Drummond side there. Personally, I think
I would absolutely rather that side.
Right? I mean, Trae Young has the higher upside of the two, obviously, but I feel like I'd want the Oubre Drummond side there.
Truthfully, Andre Drummond has a 50-point fantasy ceiling if he gets 30 minutes. if he doesn't get in foul trouble and plays 30 minutes, right? I mean, you could realistically make a case Drummond in the range of outcome. I'm not saying he's gonna score 50, but like range of outcome, Drummond could get you 50.
I'm still taking Pritchard over Nembhard here.
Pritchard over Nembhard.
Even if Tatum plays. Again, we've seen Peyton Pritchard with just one guy out this year play 30+ minutes off the bench consistently and go for big numbers. And he's a volume shooter. The one thing we talk a lot about, when it comes to these guys, like Nembhard is not a guy that takes a lot of shots. He has to hit all his shots and then fill up the stat sheet. Peyton Pritchard's on the floor to shoot. So you want a guy that has a chance to shoot as many times as Peyton Pritchard does, because it means he has more times to make those baskets. Plus, Pritchard almost triple-doubled last night. He's a guy that also is like a very sneaky good box score filler. So I'm taking Pritchard all day there. So, I'm there. So let's see. All right, where else are we looking at? We're on shooting guard there.
Oubre, Grimes,
Pritchard, Oubre, Grimes, Podziemski's 58. Anthony says he wants to load up on Golden State tonight against Brooklyn. You got him. You got LeVert at 53, and then Nembhard is 5K in that spot.
Anthony's favorite thing is to target the worst team in NBA DFS and just play all the guys on the other team. I don't think I wrote one. Draymond. I wrote Draymond. That was my one Golden State guy I wrote up today. I like LeVert of this tier. He's in the closing lineup. The offense has been great. The shot volume has been great. The peripheral stats are what Karis LeVert does. He is super good everywhere. And it's the best game environment on the board. If Trae Young needs a secondary ball handler because, Nembhard is in his ish and Neesmith is in his ish, Karis LeVert could take over a game. We've seen that a couple times already with this team. Yeah. So
I took the over 16.5 on LeVert today.
I love this play. I think he's too cheap, and the positional eligibility is great. And you know what? We're gonna get here right to Indiana. I wrote this in the playbook, and exactly how I feel. I will, if you're talking Nembhard versus Neesmith, I will just simply play the lower owned of the two because I think they look like almost identical.
Yeah. Listen, the one thing where you're getting with Neesmith, obviously, is he does shoot more.
Yes, 100%. No doubt.
But you are, at least recently, you've been getting more peripheral stats. And Nembhard's been a really good steals guy. Neesmith was the defensive play, the really good defender, but you're not getting the defensive stats with it. You're just getting him just being like a pestering defensive player. So
yeah, he's just annoying. He's just so annoying to play against, but Nembhard's getting the steals.
Anything else here at shooting guard for you?
Lonnie Walker.
Okay.
But again, I do think like he has a low 20s minute role that could blossom depending on what we get from Justin Edwards. If there's no Justin Edwards, buckle up. We're getting 70% Lonnie Walker ownership.
I mean, we see him at 50% right now, so it's certainly potential there. Where are you with Kevin Huerter tonight? Obviously active. The minutes will be there for him.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because he's going to absorb like all that THT run from the other day. I'm okay with it. He will be 1% owned probably, unless he's miraculously starting, he'll be 1% owned.
Turner, Siakam, or Drummond, Oubre for Garfield for a cash game.
Drummond. Side.
Yeah, Drummond, Oubre, and Mans hasn't worked at Fantasy Alarm in a decade, my guy. So
yeah, he has his own site. He has his own site.
He's got his own site. Much respect to Jeff Mans, though. He gave me my first break at Fantasy Alarm, so no disrespect there. But no, he hasn't been at Fantasy Alarm for a while. All right, anything else here at shooting guard?
Small forward we go.
Small forward we go. LeBron James, Jason Tatum. We'll talk about you at power forward. We'll talk about Zion at $9,200 playing the small forward position for the Pelicans. I'm in Thompson's there at 87. Wagner's $8,600. Hart and Murphy round out the 8K tier.
Yeah, I love Zion in tournaments. Lost out on blowout run. I think that we're going to start seeing Zion's minutes actually tick into the 30s here. This lineup for the Pelicans is really interesting with this like triple big lineup and Zion playmaking. A lot has led to a lot of assist opportunities for Zion. The scoring has been elite. It's 9,200. I know it's a tough matchup, but so are the Lakers. The Lakers are number one rated defense in the NBA since February 1st, and he went 17 of 23 in 26 minutes. So I like Zion in tournaments. Franz's ownership has started to soar today. I wonder if the Cole Anthony news backtracks that a little bit. I know people just simply want to pick on the Bulls, but man, I don't love the price for recent form of the Magic in general, but Franz especially with the peripheral stats just not being there. And at that ownership, like I just feel better about not spending all the way up to Franz. Like he is the second highest rostered small forward of the day. And if that's going to stay put, I know the spot is good. The spot is great. But it's not something that I'm necessarily going to be like at or above the field on. I'm going to be way below the field.
Sure. Where else are we looking to go then at small forward?
Talked to Kobe White, talked Oubre. Love both those guys. Love LeVert. Core play for me today. Talked Neesmith. All these guys are like basically dual position eligible.
Yeah.
I'd say like the only other things I'd add here is what to do with Atlanta. Because Georges Niang.
You play Man or Niang here?
Yeah, so and Ricochet, all three of those, like Atlanta is fascinating because there's a lot of different directions they can go with the rotation. They closed with Mohamed Gay last game. You and I kind of talked through it yesterday. That was mostly because double big with the Bucks. One of these guys, depending on excluding LeVert, like he's basically going to close. One of these guys, depending on who's playing the best, is going to close, right? Yeah. Between Man, between Ricochet, between Georges Niang. Most likely, my opinion is Niang probably has the best track to do it. He's the best shooter of the bunch, and he could, just annoy Pascal Siakam to death, like just poke and prod at Siakam enough. So that would probably be my lean. Plus, his ownership fell off a cliff. He was super popular all day, and he's not anymore. There's the Hauser stuff that we could talk about. He's questionable. Yeah. He was awful yesterday, but he's awful every time he gets suspended. He is awful. I mean,
if Tatum gets ruled out, though, like Hauser actually could be.
Yeah, I mean,
offensively, they'll need him to play.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Correct.
And he did take 8 threes. You know, he wasn't not shooting. He just didn't hit anything there, but he had 6 rebounds, right? Like some of those shots knocked down at 3,800. He basically paid off his price tag going 2 for 9 anyways at $3,800.
He's a 40% shooter that went 1 of 8 from 3, right? So like if he goes 3 for 8, where it's a different story.
He's a guy that almost broke the 3-point record last year in the first half.
Right. Yeah. That sprained ankle away.
Sprained ankle away in the first half of basically setting it up.
Justin Edwards, if he plays, I think that's a great pivot away from everything else Philly. No one's playing this guy.
Not yet. Right.
No, but dude, projections have him in. So like you're not going into a slate if someone's questionable, like you're going into a slate with the projections in, right? Yeah. I just that's my hesitation with like all this other Philly stuff. They play their starters big minutes, period. End of story, right? So whoever's starting is going to play big minutes. We just have to see who it is. I would love some contrarian. Edwards played 37 minutes the other day and took 15 shots. And then,
I think the Edwards thing is going to be, obviously as we get closer to roster lock, we'll be able to figure it out. You know, Jaylen Brown yesterday after the initial news was like 20%, and then he went 30%. And then by the time roster lock came, he was like 45%, right? So like,
sure,
could get the progression up once the official lineup maybe comes out here a little bit. Josh wants to know Walsh versus Lonnie. Jared Walsh or Lonnie Walker if Tatum gets rolled out here?
I would probably lean Jordan Walsh because they're probably going to start him. I mean, I think you had literally commented the last night. You're like, oh, they played Jared Walsh 21 minutes. That's interesting.
Jordan.
That was like Jordan Walsh. Yeah, I think that was like your exact comment.
Yeah. Second round pick. You know, he had some good summer league games. You know, right?
Love a good summer league or / G leaguer.
Yeah, I haven't checked out his recent stint in with the
in the G
Celtics.
In the G.
He's averaged not great. He hasn't played a lot, I guess, for them. So like, I don't know.
He's been on the roster. He's been on the team.
On the roster, right? He's just been on the. He's on the roster as the last guy in there. Yeah, I mean, again, if he has to play 30 minutes tonight, then yeah, sure.
Yeah. Just for context here, John, too, I don't know what you want to read into this. Everyone for Boston from their G League team is available tonight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they could play Shireman. They could play all those guys here tonight. So this is what I think. He did DNP'd last night. But, like, if Tatum gets ruled out, too, like, I feel like Torrey Craig plays minutes today.
Yeah, I mean, he started at center last week, so I think it's possible.
And I would play Torrey Craig tonight. Like, defense and threes, man. So we'll see what happens when the Boston lineup comes out. 7:30, so you may not know till 7:01.
Fortunately, Orlando Chicago is a 7 p.m. game.
Yeah, so if you're
love Orlando in the 7 p.m. window, gotta say.
Yeah,
gotta say.
All right, power forward. LeBron and Tatum are here. Say Tatum gets ruled in.
Tatum's
best play. Is he the guy for you tonight?
Best play of the slate.
Yep. Best play of the slate.
Yep. Okay. No, he has a. I wrote this in the playbook. There is a legit sample with this rotation out. 240-minute sample. No Horford, Brown, Holiday, Porzingis, right?
Yeah.
Jason Tatum, John. 10% usage bump. Is that good?
It's okay.
41% usage. Is that good?
It's decent.
1.6% or 1.6 fantasy points per minute.
Pretty elite.
I would say checkmate. That's the best play of the slate. He's the one guy in this equation that is not coming off a back-to-back. There's obviously a legit shoulder thing going on here.
Yeah.
But, buddy, that shoulder better be ready to shoulder the load tonight. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, he'd be my number one play. And that would be why a lot of things, Anthony. That would be why the ownership on the late game's low, because Jason Tatum currently is about 30, like close to 30% roster.
Luka or Bron, I think, again, is a great tournament question. Obviously, you just got 68 fantasy points out of Luka. LeBron is very capable of doing all of the same things here. You're getting a cheaper LeBron James. There's more plays at point guard and guard tonight. So it feels like LeBron would be better for roster builds, but we also built with Luka this morning. So I'm down either way. Again, this is a game that now it's up to 230. I don't think it was 230 last night when we looked at it. And the spread's only 2.5. So you're going to get a competitive, expected to be competitive Lakers game with a 230 total, but no one's playing that game.
I just live watched Justin Edwards' ownership spike 20%.
What did I tell you?
Oh,
you can't really know until we get closer to roster.
What a shot to the heart that was.
Yeah, Lonnie Walker took a dump down. Edwards moved up. Luke Cornett's now your highest roster player of the slate. So,
hell yeah, brother.
Amen. I have no problem playing either of these guys. Honestly, the top 4 are all good. James, Tatum, Williams, and Banchero.
Yep.
You can fit all those guys in there if you want. Olynyk at 59, I'm good with there. Same thing with Jabari. Bazzulla's 53. Like, what else are we looking at here?
I think this is a pretty bad position. And I don't have a ton of interest outside of the top guys.
Yeah.
I think you could play OG. We didn't mention that small forward. There's a very wide range of outcomes. He's questionable as well. So we have to wait to see if he plays first and foremost. But he has been really good for 4 consecutive games. And OG has played 42 plus minutes in 3 of those 4. So, if he plays, then I'm, again, very wide range of outcome, super high ceiling when the range of outcome is in your favor.
Yeah.
And no one's playing him. So that would probably be the only mid-tier guy that I'm like really loving tonight. Gershon Yabusele is getting all the ownership. That has remained consistent throughout the day. I think it's a really good play too. He's going to start alongside Drummond in the front court. He's going to operate in some backup center capacity. We've seen now in back-to-back games, 35, 36 minutes. He is another very wide range of outcome player. But if Boston is without Tatum or, elects to go Nemus and Cornet, which I think could also potentially be something they explore because Boston loves their double bigs, even though that is pretty redundant. Yabusele is going to play a lot. So yeah. I like 5,100. I'm probably good with the ownership that the field is getting to him. And then all guys we've talked about basically Niang, Justin Edwards, and there's like Hauser. There's not like a lot to like about this position. I think this is probably the worst position on the board and one I am prioritizing personally to spend on.
Sure. Vanderbilt's averaging almost 13 rebound chances a game over the last 3 games. Took his prop on PrizePicks today was 4.5. So took the over there.
Yeah, I think that's better suited for probably that. The minutes have maybe they're trending. They're obviously trending in the right direction. I think it's just hard to get to at the price.
Yeah, no issues there. Is the key to save 400 and pivot to LeBron if Tatum gets scratched? Yeah. Or build your lineup with LeBron and pivot down to Tatum if he gets ruled in.
Could also, both those are good.
Could go in that direction instead. Again,
you could also just pivot to LeBron in general, like if Tatum plays, because that one guy is going to be super popular and the other guy will not be.
If you're not playing any Chicago or Orlando, you don't even really need to worry about it. You just wait for 701 to hit and then build your lineup.
Yep.
Make sure you reserve your lineup. I've done that many times. Grande and I are building lineups, and John never hits reserve, and next thing you know, it locks, and I got no entries for the night. So, showdown slate and turbo slates we get.
That was the old you, John. That was the old you.
Happened
you
the other week.
You haven't done that in a while.
Just happened last week. Not even gonna lie. All right, center, and then I got to jump early today. I'm over on SiriusXM. Myself and Andrew Cooper doing the Fantasy Alarm Show the next 2 days. So if you got SiriusXM, turn to Sirius 86 and go listen to the Fantasy Alarm Show, the award-winning Fantasy Alarm Show, by the way. FSWA, Fantasy Sports Writers Association, radio show of the year, the Fantasy Alarm Show. 6 to 8 p.m., Monday through Friday on Sirius XM Fantasy. All right, center. Towns is $99, $100. Şengün, $94. If you're looking to spend up, those are your 2 plays. Are you, though, spending up at center today, Grande?
No, if I were to, I would be Şengün. I think a lot of people are going to get scared off by the price. The matchup is as good as it's going to get. and he obviously, functions as like the hub with or without Van Vliet, but especially without Van Vliet. So I think if I were to Şengün, but this mid-tier in value is just so strong. I feel like if Şengün gets me 45, I can get that from Zach Collins. I can get that from Onyeka Okongwu. I can get that from Miles Turner. If Draymond scores, I can get that from Draymond.
Yeah.
I just said, I think in the range of outcomes is Andre Drummond going for 50. He went for 55 2 games ago. If Andre Drummond gets 30 minutes, who's to say anything on Boston can stop Andre Drummond from the glass, right? So Yabusele you could play here. Obviously, Luke Cornett is popular. If Joe Mazzulla does Joe Mazzulla things, we could see Neemias Queta starting, and Neemias Queta is over a fantasy point per minute. So as much as like Towns and Şengün can be elite fantasy plays, from Zach Collins down, there is just endless fantasy gold opportunities. So, I think, if you're just building a lot of lineups and being different, that's when you spend up.
Josh asking us to do the impossible: rank Walsh, Cornett, Hauser, and Queta. I think Cornett might be one.
Well, that's just under the assumption Cornett is starting, and I guess in this instance, is Tatum out? Is Tatum in?
Well, I think Cornett's definitely starting.
Cornett's starting. Hauser starting.
I think it's Cornett, Hauser, Queta, Walsh.
I would probably put Neemias ahead of Hauser just because he's so much better per minute.
Okay.
And that could change. If Tatum is out, then I'd probably lean Hauser.
Sure.
But I think Neemias is so good per minute compared to Hauser.
Yeah.
That I would probably lean that direction.
Walsh is for sure last there.
Yeah. In a scenario that Hauser's playing and Walsh isn't starting, he's last.
Yeah, I'm not even really sure again what Walsh ends up doing in this game if Tatum plays. So
yep.
All right, then let's get a lineup if there's no one else that you want to talk about here.
Hubert, we like Giddey in tournaments.
Yep. Good tournament play today, 8,500. Big pace down spot for them. But obviously he's a stat sheet filler. So, and Cole Anthony defense doesn't exist. So the fact that Anthony's going to be out there for some run should benefit Giddey there. Unless Anthony just cooks Giddey because he can't defend him either. So,
yeah.
All right, then where Pritchard, I guess, is the first plug here.
Yeah, Pritchard Tatum.
Yeah.
We're operating with JTN here.
Okay. Levert
for sure. Yep.
Small forward.
Some
Oubre?
Philly stuff. Yeah, Oubre, Grimes, Edwards, Drummond. I mean, I would play any of the Philly starting five.
I was gonna say, are we doing Drummond at center then? Is that like what we're doing here?
Yeah.
Or Yabu at center?
Let's play I like Drummond better.
Nembhard's fine. Again, he's not a big shooter. So you really need him to make his 5 or 6 shots that he takes and then fill the stat sheet. If you want to pivot off of Nembhard, if there was any ownership there, Neesmith is going to take more shots. If he makes more shots and he'll give you like 5 or 6 rebounds, I'll probably outscore him. If Nembhard doesn't like hit bingo like he did. Nembhard had 33 fantasy points the other day because he had 6 combined blocks and steals.
Yep.
He can do it, obviously, but it's, if he didn't do that, he was looking at like under 20 fantasy points almost. So, all right, 5,800 forward util in this situation. I feel like we need more Indy and Lando though. It's somewhere here.
Play Neesmith then.
Smith.
Yeah, he's actually the chalkier by like 1% than Nembhard, and I said I would play the less chalky version. But
okay, would you add another one? Do you Daniels, a Concord, Turner here?
I mean, you don't have to twist my arm. Miles Turner is the cover of my playbook today. So
well, there you go. Look at that, easy peasy. $500 left over if you guys wanted to make some pivots around there, and obviously if he got ruled out, $500 would bring it to LeBron James. So can get there if you choose to. Guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Again, apologies for the little bit of a quicker show today, but I got to go on the radio. That means you got to get in that Discord, though. FantasyAlarm.com/win. Promo code Let's Go. 7-day free trial. You get access to all of our content on site and access to our Discord. Grande is in there. I'm in there. Carlucci and Keith all in the Discord, helping you guys set your lineups throughout the night, giving you status updates. We're there for you all day as well. So you're really missing out if you're not a Fantasy Alarm subscriber, and you're missing out even more if you are a Fantasy Alarm subscriber and you're not in the Discord. So check it out there. The link's in the playbook. The link's in the description of the YouTube show. You can find really the Discord link anywhere. And if you don't see it, just tweet at us and we'll give it to you. So fantasyalarm.com/win, promo code Let's Go. First month after the 7 days free is less than $20. Grady and I will be back with a preview show later on this evening and a live stream again tomorrow at 5. Good luck, everybody. We'll catch you later.